What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Thrill of the Catch. Spring is finally here, which means it's almost time to get back on that water and do some bass fishing. Bass opener is just a few days away here in Minnesota, and I couldn't be more excited. If you're fishing in Minnesota or anywhere in the north, I've got the perfect lineup of lures for you today. I'll be going over probably my top 5 lures for spring bass fishing. We are right now in the pre-spawn season. Right around that May area is where these fish like to spawn when the water temp hits about 60, 65 degrees, and we're almost there. So the fishing should be good. And without further ado, let's jump into the top 5 spring bass lures for up north fishing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so first up we have none other than the Kraken Craw. Now, crawfish are everywhere in the north, crayfish, however you want to call them. Down south, they're crawdads. This is a universal lure no matter where you're fishing in the United States. These things are everywhere, and bass love them. The crawfish is a key part of the bass diet in the spring. As you know, bass go in the shallows and they hide in them rocks, by them logs up in the shallow beds, and that is just heaven for these things. That is where these things live. That is where these things thrive. So bass love this thing. You can fish it a few ways. You could Texas rig it. You could put it on a jig trailer. I prefer to Texas rig it when I'm fishing, early spawn or when I'm fishing spawn up shallow. Texas rig just always seems to be the best for me. I'll fish anything from rock beds to laid down trees to slight weed cover. It's just a phenomenal bait. If you're in clear water, use natural colors, kind of like green pumpkin or this green pumpkin red flake that I have here. If you're in murkier water, always follow that rule, go darker, the black and blue. Down south, the Alabama Craw is huge. That is a #1 bait down there, a #1 color for the Kraken Craw. So if you are going to go with this down south, be sure to get that color. The claws, the action that this thing makes is amazing. I can rely on it all year long, but it's especially powerful during the spring spawn season. So if you're looking for an ultimate go-to bait, the Kraken Craw is #1, baby. All right, guys, the next one on the list is the swim jig, of course. I got a 1/4 ounce swim jig here with a 3.25-inch paddle tail trailer. I use this bait all year round, but I use it especially in the spring to kind of cover a lot of water and find out where those bass are hiding exactly. So I kind of use this as a search bait. I do catch a lot of big fish on this, only because right now in the north, especially in Minnesota, the sunfish are spawning as well as the bass. So the one thing that nature chose to do is sunfish love eating baby bass. So what more to irritate a bass than to mimic a sunfish on the bed? Definitely go with some sort of bluegill or sunfish color on the skirt, and then just a natural trailer, whatever looks most natural to your waters. It's definitely a go-getter. It hits hard, and you're going to catch some big fish on this. I love this lure. Like I said, it's very versatile. It gets the job done. It catches a big fish, and you can use it all year round. So definitely recommend the swim jig here. All right, guys. Next, we got the world famous Bandito bug. This is probably one of my all-time favorite baits. Just the action and vibration it gives in the water can just attract fish from a long ways away. Shout out to Scott Martin. Shout out to Guggen Baits for organizing this bait and designing it. Scott did a really great job on it. It's caught me a lot of big fish, and you can either Texas rig it, you can Carolina rig it, throw it on a jig trailer. There's so much stuff you can do with this, and you can fit it into tight spots. It's just an all-around versatile lure that catches gigantic fish. I absolutely love it. Again, if you're fishing clear water, kind of like we have here in Minnesota, go with the green pumpkin. Obviously a very great color. If you're down in some murkier, muddy water, then I would go with that June bug color or the black and blue. Both of those work really well. But again, this bait is phenomenal. I love it. I can't say enough about it. Big shout out again to Guggen Baits. Big shout out to Scott Martin. You guys did an amazing job on this. Absolutely one of my favorite baits. And you're definitely going to want to throw this and put this in your arsenal this spring. All right, guys, next up we got none other than the Mondo worm, or any 10-inch worm for that fact. So as you know, big baits catch big fish. When it's spawning season, these fish are hungry. Mama's looking to eat. She's putting in a lot of work. She needs to fatten up. These giant worms catch huge fish, and they're so versatile. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced bass angler, you can throw this. You can Texas rig it. You can Carolina rig it. You can do whatever you want. I recommend Texas rigging it and just pitching it out in them beds, dragging it along the bottom, just really kind of irritating those fish. The ribs in this thing, plus this giant curly tail, it gives so much action in the water, and fish can't help but to bite it. I personally caught my first PB on the Mondo worm. My second PB that currently holds is on the swim jig right now. But I'll never forget the monster fish that I caught on this. Just under 5 pounds. And that's pretty good here for Minnesota. We don't get too many giant fish here. I think our state record's like 9 pounds. So, yes, the Mondo worm is good for any angler. Texas rig it with a 1/4 ounce. I use about a 5/0 EWG hook, and then I use about a 1/4 ounce or an 1/8 ounce depending on the wind and the cover that I'm pushing. And I just flip it. I flip it around docks. I flip it on beds. I flip it on weed edges. I flip it in trees. I flip it anywhere I think a giant mama is going to be. Because if you're looking for a giant mama, this will get the job done. All right, guys, and last but definitely not least, man, we got the frog. Frog fishing is so much fun. If you haven't caught a fish on a frog, if you haven't caught a bass on a frog, experience that blow up. It's unlike anything else, man. And I highly recommend throwing a frog in early spring. The bass are more active on the surface. We got the shad spawn, you got shad jumping, you got all sorts of action going on the surface, and the bass are craving it. So you could throw this around logs, around trees, throw it in mat pads. Right now in Minnesota, our weed beds are kind of submerged still. They haven't fully popping up out of the water. So I like to find like a submerged weed patch, and I'll throw this frog right up on the shoreline. I'll take her off the grass and just work her back to the boat, and what it does is amazing. Be sure to go check out our other video. It's called You've Never Seen Top Water Like This. It just goes to show you how good the frog fishing is here in Minnesota. It's amazing. It's awesome. Minnesota is an awesome place to fish. Would I love to go down south and catch a 12-pounder? Absolutely. But I definitely wouldn't change the fishing up here for the world, man. Like, it's phenomenal. That's all I can say. All right, guys. Well, that's it for my top 5 bass lures for up north. Whether you're in Minnesota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, wherever you're at, these 5 lures are going to catch you some monster bass, my friends. I hope you found this video very helpful, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and comment down below what is your go-to lure in the springtime during this Minnesota spawn season. I like to see everybody's opinion. I want to see what other people are throwing, maybe add some new stuff to my arsenal. But yeah, like I said, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Happy fishing, and I'll see you on the water. All right? Peace.